HR Prism Leadership Talks is an engaging leadership conversation series that brings together thought leaders to explore the principles and practices that drive HR excellence. In this insightful episode, renowned leadership expert Yogi Sriram shares his perspective on building resilient leaders, fostering high performance cultures, and aligning people practices with organizational strategy. Through practical experience and thought provoking discussions, the series highlights how effective leadership shapes the future of work. Rooted in the HR Prism framework, these conversations offer valuable insights into developing leadership capabilities that create and sustain organizational success. Whether you're an HR professional, a business leader, or a people manager, this session provides actionable ideas to inspire excellence in leadership and human resources management. Before I begin, let me introduce you to none other than Mr. Yogi Sriram, who needs no introduction. But let me tell you that Yogi's goal today is to contribute to industry as a consultant with his experience in leading human resources for over 4 decades for large companies, and more particularly after leading the HR function of India's most successful and large engineering and construction conglomerate, L&T. At L&T, he has contributed by conceptualizing and implementing an HR excellence assessment and awards process, of which I had been a part of, and a performance management system called FAIR, Framework for Appraisals, Instruments, and Rewards. And he also developed a high potential program with over 20,000 assessments of L&T leaders over 2 decades, and several other first of its kind HR policies, particularly in leadership development and talent management.
Warm welcome to all those who are not interested in a siesta and want to hear uh, two conversationalists on the subject of HR and HR excellence. Congratulations on sacrificing your afternoon nap if it's the afternoon, if it's midnight, your midnight sleep, or
Yes.
if it's the evening or the morning, great. Anyway, wonderful to talk to you.
So that's actually a hallmark of those who are passionate about excellence and professional excellence, process
Yeah.
excellence, leadership excellence. So, which is a trend that actually you started in L&T, Yogi. I remember the early years when you started the HR excellence journey for Larsen and Toubro, and
Yeah.
it's gone to a great, summit these days. It's climbing higher and higher each day. So you have seen the way in which HR profession has changed over the years. You've also seen in ways in which HR excellence initiatives have changed over the years. So what are your main observations about this change and the state of human resources today?
See, this whole concept, Anita, of Gen Z is not new actually. There was a Gen Z in my time also. I was a part of that time's Gen Z. Uh, but I think now the movement of Gen Z and their studying their requirements, studying their wishes, studying their finickiness in some cases, studying their extremely high creativity is a subject on its own. So decoding what Gen Z wants is very important in the new HR world.
That's true.
Second is that technology is now very different from what it was in our time. For example, you're a L&D professional to begin with. Recommendatory platforms were never imagined at that time. Now, if you type something which you're searching for in Gemini, for the next 15 days, you'll get information on that particular subject. So it's a recommendatory platform. Third is there's a skill taxonomy now, which is very important as compared to the Bloom's taxonomy. The
Okay.
skill taxonomy takes you to the level at which you require to have proficiency and competency for doing a particular job. We didn't hear too much about work-life balance in our time. Work-life balance is very important. The future of work is very important in subjects these days. Reskilling, according to me, in these days is a competitive advantage. Those times when we grew up in HR, it was important, but not a competitive advantage as such. It was more of a remedial measure or something to progress or something to signify in terms of a modern management which believed in developing leadership and so on. In the new world of today, where you and I live, there are shorter chains of command and wider spans of control. In our time, when we were growing up, chains of command were 16 grades, 17 grades, 18 grades. Promotion was a must after every 2, 3 years. Now it's all to do with meritocracy. I think the definition of leadership has changed drastically. Qualities such as critical thinking, qualities such as problem solving, empathy are very, very much important in these days because the domain has been largely taken over by modern technology like AI. And so that's to begin with.
Yes, I think so many things you said are perfectly on the dot. It's the generation gap, and the new generations that are coming in are all with very different set of expectations, different styles, and different ways of functioning. But I love the what you said about the need for empathy today and understanding, from the new generation, the Gen Z point of view, how they would like the organization to be run and how they would run it when they become.
Also, Anita, there's some new terms which you never heard of those days. For example, when we use the word gig, it was more to do a guitar concert. I used to play the guitar a long time back, acoustic six string.
Okay.
And doing a gig meant, doing a music show with a friend. But
Yeah.
today, a gig worker is someone who doesn't need an employer. You can have multiple people for whom you work, and it's a service class which is gaining ground. So these are new terms that one hears of. And actually, the very important point that I wish to make here is in terms of the economy itself. The economy and the economics and the political situation, whether it's our country or outside, is changing so rapidly and so fast that the technology and all the skills, etc., which you made up, is not fast enough to face the challenges. I mean, the work environment seems to be one step behind what the economy seems to be taking in terms of new contours and so on.
Mhm. So, also many changes coming in. And in this new context, over 4 decades you have seen. Today, what do we mean when we say HR excellent or excellent HR practices or professional excellence in resources? What do we really mean? Has the meaning changed?
I think it's changed to a large extent. Those days when we started the HR excellence model, it was more about doing a kind of an audit of a process. It was figuring out whether the process is working for you as intended or not. Today, it's more about strategic inputs such as organization structure. Do you have the right kind of organization structure for delivering what you've promised the shareholders? Are you having the right kind of performance buttons for employees to work on in order to, improve their own performance and also the company's performance? It's about reimagining how work itself would look like. It's redesigning roles, reskilling people, and checking whether you have the ability to find out what is the right skill that is required. Because nowadays, the shelf life of a skill can be as short as 2.5 years,
Yes.
or maybe even lesser. So, are you through some process of predictive intelligence or some process of judgment, which is backed with technology, able to figure out what are the kind of skills that are required for the future in your workforce? Otherwise, your workforce will become totally redundant very fast.
So, in your opinion, it's the updation of skills that becomes very important because of the obsolescence that comes in. But you had started the concept
In
of.
my opinion, sorry to butt in, my opinion, from a process audit or a process efficiency, it is going more towards finding out whether your work patterns are effective, you've selected the right ladder to lean on, You are doing the right things in terms of organization structure and so on. So it's less about process and more about strategy.
Okay. But the practice of doing the excellence assessments is still valid, but given a new context and given the new
Of course, with a changed
dynamics
direction, with a changed direction and with changed assessment skills
and change models also, not the
and
old
change
process.
models also. They say
Okay.
that now that we're talking about change, they say that 75% of large change projects actually fail.
Okay.
So, in today's world, an HR professional's skill in navigating a company through troubled waters, navigating a company through to new levels of efficiency, effectiveness, productivity, happiness, contentment, trust is much more important than what it was earlier.
Okay.
Earlier, it was more like a audit, like a medical checkup. You go for that. Now it's much more proactive. You go to the gym. You don't just go for a, medical checkup, but you go proactively and pump some iron.
And so it's a living process. It's not a one
Yeah.
time thing. It's something that continues over. It's a constant journey. So, we are the kind of HR excellence models that are evolving today, both in L&T as well as elsewhere, like including our own HR Prism from Open Spaces. What kind of companies do you think would benefit most, assuming the model that we create is relevant to today's time?
I think there would be different levels of the excellence that we want to test out. There could be a black belt kind of a thing. There could be a green belt. There could be a yellow belt. Just to draw a metaphor from the martial arts.
Okay.
So at the higher end, there could be large companies with mature kind of systems and so on, but they could also have slipped into complacency. So the smaller companies, which are much more agile, the mid-sized companies, which are much more agile and which are ready to adopt new things, etc., would benefit a lot. I'm not saying the others wouldn't, but these would really benefit a lot by adopting an HR excellence model because they would be able to place their hand on the pulse to figure out whether they're doing the right thing. And they also can change fast. So if you take waterfall to agile, for example, as an organization structure, which is typically uh, borne out by companies like Spotify, which is the live streaming, music streaming company.
Yes.
So it has words which we never heard of those days when we grew up in HR, such as sprint and scrum masters and tribes and anthropological terms such as squads and communities of interest.
Hmm.
And these could be just fashionable words to re-describe TQM, but they're not. They're a way of doing things to suit modern manufacturing service processes. And going forward, who knows? The organization structure could be nebulous. There's a company called WL Gore, which has something has called a nebulous organization structure. They
Okay.
make Gore fabric, which is waterproof, but your sweat gets absorbed and evaporates. So it's used in space suits and stuff.
All
So
right.
it's a highly creative kind of company. So I suppose the world is moving towards creativity and innovation and also giving employees a sense of agency, the empowerment to do things, to take decisions,
Okay.
and to be responsible for what they're doing.
All right. So, yes, you're saying the nebulous organization structures or their specific organization structures, like you found in Spotify, where they have their own terminologies and their own ways of referring to people. All great things happening because it helps the company grow and you know align to business and strategy. But according to you, where are the gaps or blind spots that you see when organizations do not assess and review their own HR function? Many of them don't. They never ask themselves the question, how can we do HR better? Hmm?
I think
So, what kind of
today,
blind spots?
to some extent, things have not changed with respect to performance appraisal systems, particularly performance conversations.
Yes.
I am yet to find a company which will honestly place its hand on its heart and say, look, we haven't mastered the ability to coach, mentor people to develop themselves. to introspect on improvement areas, to accept the improvement areas, and work hard on areas that they need to really, go the extra mile. That is definitely an area. Second is leadership assessment. I think it's a very amorphous field, and different people use different technologies to assess leaders. I think it's important to be very consistent and master the ability to uh, develop and assess people. The third is using data and technology uh, in the right way. I mean, it's very fashionable to say I have used cases for AI, but for what? Is it giving you the mileage it's supposed to be? AI projects can be extremely expensive. So figuring out whether it's giving you the mileage required for which you've invested so much on AI and digital is very important.
Wonderful. I think you're talking in a very relevant way as to what I call future plus, future minus. We are looking into the future and seeing where are the gaps and how do we need to get there. And that's, I think, what a good HR review or HR excellence review needs to also address, that future readiness of an
Yeah.
organization. So, can you share how your work in the space of HR excellence over many years helped your organization improve the HR functioning in measurable ways?
I'm
What?
very proud to say, of course, they say that, I mean, I retired from L&T some 6 years back. But after that, I've been involved very intimately as a consultant in some very strategic and important projects. I'm proud to say that if one was to look at L&T's footprint in the HR world, it has written its, shall we say, contribution in golden letters, in indelible ink, about how it has contributed to good processes, good strategy, use digital. And I think this constant, uh, you know, not giving up and being consistent with the processes has really helped. Consistency is very important quality, and in HR excellence model also, doing this repetitively year after year and using the cycle of plan, do, check, act,
Yes,
PDCA,
yes,
which Edward Deming taught us,
yes,
is very important. You have to be at it all the time. That elevates you because the incremental shift, you're a marathoner, Anita, and you know that running from 15 kilometers to 21 kilometers needs not this much effort, but that much effort.
yes.
Running from 10 to 15 requires a little lesser. Running from 5 to 10 means it requires even lesser. So, with every incremental improvement, you need to work that much harder. And that has really paid off L&T. One of the most sterling examples in the country of a company which has got solid HR systems, processes, and strategies.
Okay. So, uh, before we close, what is a message that you would like to give to the HR community at large on the journey towards excellence in human resources?
Be restless about learning, never stop learning. Uh, Look for opportunities actively for learning from any situation, from any hobby, any reading. Discuss what you learned and implement what you learned. Learning should be your mantra and demonstrate that to the people around you.
Yes, that is an amazing closing statement. And on behalf of all the viewers who are watching this video today, and all the people who are excited about HR excellence journey, I'd like to say a very warm thank you to Yogi Sriram.
Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Yogi.
Okay, take care.